Obviously, about Donald Trump and the problems he has. Republicans are going to get hurt by trying to defend him. That's not a smart movement. Then we were talking about how Republicans are talking about Social Security.
They want to
raising
raise
the
it.
age, like 175 or whatever his age. And
what
also
else?
Privatizing Medicare.
They want guns. Lots of them.
A lot of guns.
Just
with
shoot everything up.
No gun safety legislation, even legislation that 90% of Americans support. They want that. But
winning platform.
At least they have the abortion issue going for them, right?
No. Nearly a year after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, a new poll shows a record number of Americans support legalizing early-term abortions. In the latest Gallup survey, 69% of Americans say abortion should be legal in the first 3 months of a pregnancy. That is up 2% from the previous high of 67%, which was set last May after the Dobbs decision was leaked. And it's not just Democrats who say abortion should be legal in the first trimester. 74% of independents, 47% of Republicans also agree.
Nearly 50% of Republicans. And Jen, this is a question that a lot of people from the Wall Street Journal editorial page to Ann Coulter keep asking Republicans. Like, when are you going to get straight on abortion? Look at Kansas, look at Kentucky, look at what happened in Wisconsin. These states that Republicans should be winning, they're getting crushed in now on the issue of abortion. And in that Wisconsin case, they kept an 1849 law, a total ban on abortion, on the books. It's just political malpractice.
Absolutely. I mean, it turns out women don't like their rights being taken away. Go figure. So that's what we're seeing here. But, I think, Joe, what is interesting in terms of the politics of abortion is what's happening in the Republican primary, right? You have a number of these candidates who can't quite figure out where they are, where they want to be. Many of them don't want to commit to an abortion ban. They're unwilling to give the number of weeks. And for a long time, as you well know, the issue of abortion and where you were on the issue of choice was pretty uniform, right, in the Republican Party. And what you would say in a platform or on a campaign event, that has changed. So the Republican primary debates about this and where candidates are, whether it's Scott or Haley or others, is an indication of how the politics of this country and where the public are impacting political leaders and how they're running for office.
And you have Ron DeSantis, who has viewed Jonathan Lemire as perhaps the alternative to Donald Trump should everything with his legal troubles go sideways here, who not long ago signed into law a 6-week abortion ban, which may serve him well in a primary potentially, but boy, that's trouble in a general election.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. Poll after poll after poll suggests just how unpopular these super restrictive abortion bans are. And Democrats, look, they point to it as one of course, the most definitive, deciding important issues of the 2022 midterms. And they don't see that changing for 2024. With so many states taking on new abortion legislation, with so much energy around the issue, and obviously so many women really unhappy about where the Republicans landed, that's going to be something that's going to potentially tip the scales again. And we talk a lot about the show about those independent swing voters who are going to decide next year's election, those of which Trump is already struggling, Republicans already struggling. The abortion issue certainly could be the defining one for suburban women to send them back to the Democrats for another cycle.
And this is what you don't really see in a lot of Biden polling. You just don't really see, Rev, people going, I'm just not excited with this guy. This guy's too old. Come on, I'm not excited. And then you get close. It's like 2022. And then you get closer and closer to the election. There's going to be a red wave. There's going to be a red wave. Everybody's saying. Then people go in and vote, and they're like, hold on a second. These people are making 10-year-old babies, 10-year-old little girls flee their states after being raped. They're talking about having the state force 14-year-old girls to have a state-sanctioned forced pregnancy, forced birth, if their uncle rapes them. And suddenly, they're not quite so concerned about Joe Biden's energy levels. They're like, all right, well, things are getting done. I can't turn it over to these kooks who want 10-year-old girls who were raped to have to flee their states and who want to privatize Medicare and increase the age of Social Security and support a guy who steals nuclear secrets.
No question about it. And I think that's what even some of their allies, Wall Street Journal editorial board, and others are saying, wait a minute here, you are going to wake up people that would just normally stay in a snooze level and go along with you. And that's what's happening. When you look at what they're doing at abortion and ignoring all of the data that's saying, according to polling, that it's the other way. When you look at the fact that you're dealing with the economy, you just talked about inflation, and your runner-up, if Donald Trump is toppled, is a guy that picks on the biggest employer in his state and gets in a fight with Mickey Mouse that would cause jobs. People are going to start saying, wait a minute, from the economy to abortion, even if I offensively don't want to go with the Democrats and Biden, I must defensively go with them because I've got to protect my daughter and I've got to protect my economic standing. So I think by offense or defense, it puts Biden and Harris in a very good position.